let me just back up and create some context, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The term social entrepreneur and the term social enterprise are often used interchangeably, but they're not exactly the same. So a social enterprise is a business that is trying to do good and make enough money to pay for its team, for its supplies, for all its capital needs. A social entrepreneur may be somebody who runs a social enterprise, but it also may be somebody who runs a nonprofit, but who uses business skills, business rigor, business tools to do his or her job better. So in the past, a lot of nonprofits weren't really great with business skills. They didn't know marketing, they didn't know accounting, they didn't know finance, they didn't know strategy. These are all business skills. Now, a successful nonprofit or a social enterprise has to incorporate all of those skills. And they do that in order to be more successful, to scale, to create impact, but also because donors and investors are demanding those kinds of skills so that they can know that their investment, whether it be a donation or an investment that they hope to get some return on, is going to be utilized effectively.
Right. Now, if you were to now, be talking to someone who approaches you and says, here's a problem I've identified, let's say in primary healthcare,
right.
in a country like India or Bangladesh or Pakistan,
right.
and here's what I want to do to try and fix it. What would your response be? I mean, what are you looking at in terms of, let's say, the metrics around which you think the person can be successful or somewhat successful, and depending on which you would decide whether to fund the person or not?
Right. Well, I think that they need a viable business plan. Now, a nonprofit will seek grant money, plus they want to create some sustainable income streams. Maybe they're selling services, maybe they're selling T-shirts, or a craft of local women who work, and make crafts. And they also may have some government support. A social enterprise is, as I said before, just trying to sell their services in a way that makes money. Whatever it is, they need a viable business plan. They need to think through how they're going to access that startup capital and then keep it going. They need to think about their team, whether the team, you can have a heart of gold, but that is not necessarily going to help you to create a really viable social intervention.
Right. And if you were to, I'm assuming scale is one of those things, right? I mean, because if problems have to be resolved, they have to be resolved at a large scale. If you were to look at the kind of social entrepreneurs you worked with in the past, have most managed to produce a scalable solution?
Scale is an interesting word because it's a word that comes essentially from industry, right? So you make widgets, you make 10,000, you want to sell 1 million, and that's scaling. For social entrepreneurs, sure, they want to scale, but what's really most important is systemic change. So you don't want to just put a Band-Aid on the problem, you want to help solve the symptoms of that problem. Many successful enterprises, whether they be social enterprises or nonprofit organizations, really scale when they figure out how to partner effectively with government. Because if a social entrepreneur does partner somehow with government, government can pick up that intervention, and once they do that, then you've scaled well beyond what this small organization can do.
Right.
So for example, here in India, Magic Bus is a very well-known nonprofit, not social enterprise, but they do have a lot of business thinking and rigor incorporated. They measure and evaluate their impact constantly. They have partnered with government to introduce sports and the benefit of sports in many places in India. That is extraordinary scale, not just of what they do, but is really changing systems and changing people's lives.
Right. And tell us more about what your organization, the Center for Asian Philanthropy, has planned in India in coming days.
We are working across Asia in 10 economies right now. We've got all of our funding from Asian high net worth individuals. We're committed to raising the money only in Asia. We work with Asian organizations. And what we're trying to do is figure out the most effective strategies for social change. And that way we can inform the philanthropists about what they should look for when they're making these kind of investments. And we can also coach those organizations as to what are effective strategies in order to improve people's lives, improve education, health, environment, so on.
Right. And any other projects that you're looking at in India? You talked about Magic Bus, of course.
We're doing case studies. So we're partnering with a number of organizations. We're partnering with DASRA. We're partnering with Give India. We're partnering with the Ananta Center, which is one of the co-sponsors of this event, with the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Is it social sciences?
Yes, it is.
TIS.
Yeah.
You remember the acronym. We're partnering with a number of organizations to do cases on best-in-class nonprofits and social enterprises in India, and we are doing that across all of Asia. In the coming months, those case studies will be available open source on our website, which is www.asiacps.org. And then I think what's really also important is that we are writing an analysis across all the cases to be able to see trends across the region. Of course, there are big differences between Korea and Indonesia, but there are also some important, I suppose, similar trends across the region that we want to highlight.
Ruth Shapiro, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.